Okay, so this is your bell work for today. So if you're at home, you can pause it because I'm going to change it. Okay, I'm going to go over your homework now. Okay, get out your homework assignment from last time. I want to see what you guys came up with. If you didn't get one, go over there and get one. Look at the other one so you know which one to get. Okay, I'll tell you what. Can I see the other side of this? Wait, let me see. Hey guys, we are going to correct one side of it. Everybody go to the 9-2 practice side, the side that says practice, not the one that says enrichment. Go to the practice side. Everybody, pass it. One person forward. One person forward, please. Go ahead now. Pass it one person forward. Your assignment, one person forward. We're going to correct this side. This side's going to be extra credit, and I'll correct that. Okay, go to the side that says 9-2 practice. We're going to correct that right now. Here we go. Has everybody passed it forward? Now, you guys, if you don't pass forward right now, you get a 0. Pass it forward. If you don't have one, don't correct one. Okay, here we go. Number 1 on the practice side. Number 1 on the practice side is yes. The reason being is because 10 over 15 is the same thing as 8 over 12. The sides are proportional, and the angles are all congruent. So 10 over 15 reduces to 2/3, and so does 8 over 12. Number 2, the answer is yes, because all the angles are congruent, but the sides are also proportional. 3 over 6, 3.5 over 7, they all reduce to 1/2. The answer to number 3 is no. They are not, because 4 over 8 is 1/2, and 8 over 12 is 2/3. They don't reduce to the same thing. So that 3 is no. Number 4 is yes, because the angles, you have more than one pair of angles is congruent. That's all you would need, but you can go 13 over 26 is equal to 12 over 24. They're both 1/2. Number 5. List all the pairs of corresponding angles. Okay? AD and EH correspond, you guys. AD and AH. AB and EF correspond. BC and FG correspond. DC and HG correspond. So that's pairs of corresponding angles. Yes. Oh, the angles, I'm sorry. It says list corresponding angles. So angle A and angle E. Angle B and angle F. Angle D and angle H. Angle C and angle G. All correspond. Okay? All right. Then, number 6 says write 4 ratios relating the corresponding sides. That was the answer I just gave. AD over EH should be one of them. Or you could put EH over AD. It doesn't matter. But AD over EH. The next one is AB over EF. BC over FG. And DC over HG. Number 7, write a proportion to find the missing measure x, and then find the value of x. So number 7 would look like this. Number 7 would look like this. X over 6, because AD and EH correspond, is equal to 8 over 12. Because EF and AB, or AB and EF correspond. Okay? We could cross multiply. 12 times x is 12x. 6 times 8 is 48. What would you do to solve that equation? Divide by 12, and you get x equals 4. Okay? Did you come up with the right answer, but you showed your work? Then that works. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, number 8, write a proportion to find the missing measure for y, then find y. So I would do this the same way. I'd do 11 over y. Went from small triangle to big triangle, and 8 over 12. And once again, we can go, you know what? I'm going to rewrite this as 11 over 12 and 2 over 3 because 8/12 reduced to 2/3, and it makes it smaller to work with. 11 times 3 is 33. 2 times y is 2y. You divide that by 2, and you get y equals 16.5. So 16.5 is the answer. Okay, number 9, write a proportion to find the missing measure z. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing once more. We're going to do 8 over 12 is equal to 5 over z, right? And then I'm going to reduce that to 2/3 again. And I'm going to cross multiply. 2 times z is 2z. 3 times 5 is 15. Divide both sides by 2. And you get z equals 7.5. Okay, so that was 7.5. All right, write up how many they got out of 9. Put a score out of 9 right there on 9-2 at the very top. I will look at the back side for extra credit. Give it back to the person, put your name on it, and a score out of 9. Go put it on the flapper board. I said I will correct the back. I'll give it extra credit. That back is extra credit, you guys. The back is extra credit. I want to see, don't say it out loud. I just wanted to see if you guys can find angles A, B, and C. Now, these are straight lines. I want to see how much you know. This is kind of intuitive. Even if you've never been taught it, think about it. I think you can get this. What was that? This is equal to 52 degrees. I will give you this hint. If you add up all these angles around here, what should they add up to? Why? Because it goes in a full circle, right? So you're going to add up all these angles around here and see what they add up to. But they should add up to that amount. But I want to know what each individual angle is equal to. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, you guys, we're going to start with angle B. Please do not say it out loud. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and then I want you guys to say what you think it is. Okay? Angle B on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. 52 is the correct answer. Good job. Now, I want to talk about these. Don't write this down yet because I'm going to give you a worksheet. You're going to write it down on there in just a second, okay? 2 angles. When you guys have 2 lines cross, the angles opposite of each other are called vertical angles, okay? Vertical angles. That's what they're called. Got it? And they are congruent. Vertical angles are congruent. Got it? So anytime you have these 2, that means A and C are congruent as well, right? Now, there's a couple different ways we can get A. How many of you think you know the measure of angle A? Okay, Alex, what do you think? Yeah. Tell us the answer and how you got it. You got 76, and how did you get that? Okay. Anybody else? Stephanie? that is a great way to get it, okay? And okay, that's exactly right. Stephanie gave the right answer. It's 128. Now, the reason she got 128 is because she had a 52 and 52, and it's 104, and she subtracted from 360, and then she divided that by 2 to get each of these angles. There's actually a little bit faster way to get it. If you notice right here, this line is a straight line, right? Which, by the way, I don't care which way you get it. That's excellent if you can think of something like that. This is a straight line. That means this angle and this angle have to add up to how much? 180. Do you see that? So it's a little bit faster. All you have to do is subtract 52 from 180, and you'll get 128. Okay, you guys, we call two angles that add up to 180 degrees, we call them supplementary angles. Two angles that add up to 180, we call supplementary angles. Now, I'm going to hand you guys out this worksheet, and we're going to fill out the vocabulary on it. Okay, the first word is complementary angles. You should write complementary angles. I didn't make this worksheet. One of the other teachers did, and so they just put complementary, but they're complementary angles. Raise your hand if you know what complementary angles are. Two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. That's the definition of that word. Okay, the second one. We just talked about this one. What's the definition of this one? Two angles whose sum is 180. Okay, the third word is vertical angles. Good. The angles opposite of each other when two lines intersect. The angles opposite of each other when two lines intersect. Okay? In other words, angle 1 and angle 2 are an example. Okay? One thing you need to know, there's a theorem that says vertical angles are congruent. I'm just going to use the symbol for congruent right there. Vertical angles are always congruent. They're always going to be congruent. So anytime you have two intersecting lines, the opposite angles are always going to be congruent. Always. Okay? I'm going to go to the next page. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to finish writing, and then we're going to the next page. Okay, the next one. Linear pair of angles. She didn't write this down right. Should say linear pair of angles. Okay? This is the angles next to each other when two lines intersect. One and two would be an example of those. Actually, when two lines intersect, how many pairs of linear pairs do you have? You have 4. 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and 4 and 1. So 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 1 are all linear pairs. We have a theorem that says linear angles are what? We just talked about it. They're not the same. These two angles do what? They make 180. What's that word? Supplementary. Supplementary. Okay? Next word. Adjacent angles. Angles next to each other. They share the same vertex and one side. Okay, also you could add to it no common angles. They have no points that are interior to both of them. For example, you guys, interior angles are like this. 1 and 2 would be a pair of adjacent angles. 2 and 3 would be a pair of adjacent angles. 3 and 4 would be a pair. 4 and 5 would be a pair. 5 and 6 would be a pair. Any two angles that are next to each other like that are adjacent. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 2 and 3. Okay, those are just some of them. There's 6 pairs there. But those are some examples of them. So they're going to be next to each other. You're going to have one angle that's 1 degree and one that's 28 degrees. Okay? Last word. Perpendicular. What, does anybody know what perpendicular means? How many of you have heard this word before? How many of you know what it means? No. Parallel is when they don't touch. Parallel is opposite of, perpendicular is opposite of parallel. Yeah, they're like this. What angle do they form? Yeah, two lines that intersect at 90-degree angles. Two lines that intersect at 90-degree angles. For example, angle 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all 90-degree angles. So line N and M are perpendicular. Let me show you a symbol for perpendicular. N is perpendicular to M. Write that symbol down. It's an upside down capital T. N is perpendicular to M. Now, we're going to define parallel lines on another paper, so we'll talk about those in a second. Okay, now, Okay, you guys, this worksheet I just gave you, turn the page over to the top side of the other one. We're going to fill in those blanks right there. I just gave them to you. Number one, if two angles are vertical angles, then they are congruent. Remember, I just gave that to you right here? You guys right here? Vertical angles are congruent, right? Okay, if two angles, number two, if two angles are a linear pair of angles, then they are, I just gave that one to you. Supplementary. Linear pairs and linear angles are supplementary. That means they do what? They add up to 180, right? Number three, if two angles are adjacent, then they are blank to each other. Someone said next to each other. Adjacent angles are angles that share a same side. They're next to each other. Next. Next to each other. They're like, look at problem number 4 just below that. A and B are next to each other. B and 50 degrees are next to each other. 50 degrees and C are next to each other. But those are also linear pairs of angles. Another example would be A and 55 degrees on number 5 below that. Okay? Now, guys, I would start on this side that has 4 problems. I am going to give you, right now, 15 minutes to finish this worksheet. Okay? Okay, we are going to correct this assignment now. So, I would like everybody to take and pass your paper to the left, one person. Let's cross it across the tables right here. Kristen, just pass yours way down. Pass it to your left, please. Yeah. Once left. Christian, bring yours down here somewhere.